Hey guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, Matt's going to be teaching you how to play Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So first off, I got a chance to play through this arrangement yesterday, and two things came to mind. First off, it sounds amazing, but secondly, it's super beginner friendly, and that's actually a really hard thing to do. It's hard to write an arrangement that sounds great yet is easy to play. So I have to give a big round of applause to Matt for accomplishing that. Now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this lesson, because in this video you guys are going to be learning the entire song, but if you want to get the tabs to print off and follow along with, that's going to be available at this link, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com and do a search for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Now also on that page will be the interactive on-screen tab viewer. So this is a great feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish. Just a great asset in learning this song that much easier. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Matt to teach you how to play this, and then I'll see you at the end of the video.
Today we're going to learn a solo arrangement of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Let's go ahead and start at the very beginning with the pickup bar. To start, we're going to play open on our A string, and then 2 on our A string, and I like to use the middle finger here. Now, to start the song, I like to use my thumb with my playing hand for the whole melody A sequence, and then from there I like to go into more finger picking, but we'll talk more about that in a moment. The first chord now on bar 1 is going to be an F5. To do this, take your index finger, place it on the 1st fret of the E string, and your ring finger here on the 3rd fret of the A string. Go ahead and strum your C, E, and A together with your thumb. Then take the ring finger off for the open A. Then the one on the E there with your index. Then we'll switch to an E minor chord. To do this, take that index finger, move it down to the 2nd fret of the A string, bring your ring finger up to the 4th fret of the C string. Strum through all 4 strings. Then play the open G. You'll notice that I'm playing a high G ukulele, and this is really made for high G. It's going to use that high G string a lot for melody help. It's really fun. First instance of that's right here. We're going to play the open G, and then we're going to play open E to finish that measure. So that measure in time with the pickup bar should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and. Going into measure 2 now, we're going to play this D minor chord, but we don't have to play the whole one. We just take our middle finger, place it on the 2nd fret of the C string, index finger, place on the 1st fret of the E string, strum through our C, E, and A together. Then we're going to play 1 on the E string, and 2 on the C. Then we're going to play my all-time favorite chord on the ukulele, C6, all open, strum through. And then we're going to just play the open on the G string. It's pretty cool how that 0 on the G can really be used to facilitate that melody, and it's what makes this arrangement so much fun to play. So that measure 2, should sound something like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And let's go ahead and hear measures 1 and 2 together. And let's hear it with the pickup bar. Should be something like this. 2 and 3 and. Now what's really cool here is we repeat this and we go through it again. And after we've done it that second time, we go on to measure 3. We're going to play an A minor chord. To do this, just take your middle finger, place it on the 2nd fret of the G string, strum through your G, C, and E, stopping your thumb on your A string. Play the E string 3 more times. Then strum through this whole A minor chord, all 4 strings. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. That's the beginning of measure 4, mainly because 3 is so easy, but here's what 3 sounds like on its own. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Right? We want to just make sure it's that 1, 2, 3, 4. It's easy to get lost there. It's funny how hard it can be to count to 4 sometimes, but So then we go on to measure 4, and we're going to play through the full chord. And we're going to hold that for 3 beats before we play open on the A, and then 2 on the A. And you can use your middle finger there for that 2. So that sounds something like this in time. Measure 4, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going in right to measure 5 now, we go to a D7 chord. To do this, bar across the 2nd fret with our index finger, add our middle finger here to the 3rd fret of the A string, strum through all 4 strings, play that 3 again, one more time, take it off and play the 2 that should be barred there with the index, and then we can play our open A string, taking our hand off. So measure 5 in time should be something like this: 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to measure 6, really basic, play a G7, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the C string, index here on the 1st fret of the E, ring here on the 2nd fret of the A, and we're going to upstrum. You just use your index finger, come up with the pad, or if you want to use your thumbnail, it's another way to do it. So in time, that one's very easy: 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now let's go ahead and hear what measures 3, 4, 5, and 6 all sound like together. So these 4 bars should be this: 2 and 3 and 4 and. And this concludes melody A. We go on to melody B, which is the best part of the song, right? It's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. This is really going to make use of open strings, especially that high G. This is one of my favorite arrangements I've worked out just because it kind of flows off the fingers and you don't have to work too hard at it. So measure 7 is going to be plucking. So what we want to do is, we were using our thumb before. Now we want to go to more finger picking. I like to do 4 finger picking. My thumb on the G string, my index on the C, ring on the E, middle on the E, and ring on the A. So that we have 1 finger per string, kind of at their own stations. And with this, we're going to pluck whatever strings are shown. So to start, it's the G and C together, and then it's going to be the A, and then it's going to be the G, then the E. It's all open, right? So Rudolph the Red. Then we're going to add the 3 on the A with our ring finger to finish that measure. In time, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going into measure 8, pluck all 4 strings, then open on the G, then a little filler, open on the C, open on the E. So in time, 8 is 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to 9, pluck the G and C together, open A, open G, open A, open G, just going back and forth with those, till finally adding the 3 on the A string. So in time, 9, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now going into measure 10, play a G7 chord. We played that earlier. This time we're going to pluck all 4 instead of upstrum it. Then we're going to pluck the C string and the E string on 2 and 1, which are already in that chord, and then the G string on open. So measure 10 in time is something like this: 2 and 3 and 4 and. So here is measures 7, 8, 9, and 10, so that you can really hear how this melody P part is really kicking off. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going now right on to measure 11, we're going to play that G7, keep holding it, nothing moves with the left hand to start. Pluck your C and E together, then your G string, then your E, C, and then A, all holding that G7, nothing changes. So in time, that's something like this: 2 and 3 and 4 and. I just rushed that, right? I went way too fast when counting it in. Why is that? Well, it's a fun song to play. It's really easy to do, but it's important to practice things slow to get it right so that you can speed it up. So let's go ahead and fix that mistake I made. 2 and 3 and 4 and... There we go. Going on to measure 12 now, we're going to play this G7 sus2. It sounds scary, but I promise it's not. All that it is open on the A string while holding the rest of the G7. So just take that ring finger off. Pluck all 4 strings. Then open on the G, 2 on the C, 1 on the E. So measure 12 in time sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And now we go on to measure 13. We're going to still be holding that same shape. We're going to pluck our G and C together. And then we're going to play A, G, A, G, A. Really straightforward. It's just alternating. And in time, that's something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going into 14, all open. Play our G, C, and E. Open C, open E, and open G. Pretty great, right? So let's go and hear that in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And let's go ahead and hear measures 11, 12, 13, and 14 in time. It should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now from this point, it repeats. And it repeats back to measure 7. So when we play melody B, we go 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then we go back to 7 and we play that through. And then from that measure 7, we go back to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But on the second run through, we skip measures 13 and 14 because they are the first ending. And we go straight to measures 15 and 16. So let's go ahead and look at 15 and 16. They should sound something like this. Middle finger here on the second fret of the C string. Play the G and C together. Open A, open G, open A, open G. Then stretch your pinky out to 5 on the A. So in time, 15 is this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And then 16 is going to be a C chord. We just take our ring finger, place it on the third fret of the A string, and we pluck all 4 strings together. And play the C, E, and then index on 1 of the A and play that note. Which you notice is a little tense, right? But what it's doing is it's leading us into this melody section, this next part. So let's go ahead and hear 16 in time. It should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... So that we can hear it now, let's hear the entirety of this melody section. Okay, so we're going to start at measure 7, go all the way through 14, do the repeat, 7, all the way through 16, skipping 13 and 14. Should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... to 7. To 6, 15. Now from here we go into the bridge of the song, starting a new section. What we're going to do is play an F chord. just take your middle finger, place it on the second fret of the G string, index finger here on the first fret of the E string. Go ahead and pluck all 4 strings, then play the open A, and then add your ring finger here to 3 on the A, and then take that ring finger off. Pretty easy measure. Should be something like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going into measure 18 now, we're going to be all open again. Pluck the G and C. Open on the E, open on the G, open on the C. Really easy measure. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going into 19, we're going to go back to this sort of G7, but we just need the index on the 1 of the E and the middle on the 2 of the C. Pluck those 2 together. And open on the A, open on the G, and 1 on the E. In time, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going into 20, all open again. Pluck the G, C, and E strings. C, E, G. And in time, 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let's now hear 17, 18, 19, and 20 for this section. Should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to now 21, we're going to take our middle finger, place it on the second fret of the C string, play that, open on the E, open on the G, open on the A. I love parts like this because all 4 strings are being used. So if you let them ring, it really gets that what we call campanella effect. It sounds just wonderful. But in time, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to 22, we're going to play a G7. We're going to pluck all 4. 2 on the A 2 more times, and the 2 on the C. You'll notice most of these finger picking sections are just holding the chord, and if they move, it's only 1 note or maybe 2. Let's go ahead and hear 22 in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, I think this next part is the hardest section of the whole song. We're going to go to this new A minor chord. To do this, we're going to play 2, 0, 0, 3. So I like to use my middle finger here on the second fret of the G string, my ring finger here on the third fret of the A string. We're going to pluck all 4 strings, pluck the 3 on the A again, and then what we're going to do is we're going to switch to this other crazy chord, right? And to play this chord, oh man, I just misspoke. Let's rewind just a minute. So I said to use your middle finger here with that A minor, because that can set up things like an F chord. But with this D13 chord that's coming up, that's actually not the best. So I misspoke. Instead, we're going to use our index finger on this, which might not be the way that we normally play this chord. But this is what makes this such a good teaching opportunity. We're going to play that A minor with the second fret on the G string, the index finger, and the third fret on the A string with the ring finger. Because now, when we go to this next chord, we just need to move our ring finger down and stack our middle finger underneath. So we have 2, 0, 2, 2 for that D13 chord. We're going to pluck all 4 of those together. So you see that A minor played like this sets up that D13. Real spicy sound, right? And then after we play that, we're going to play 2 on the G. So that measure, 23, which is a doozy, sounds like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to 24, we're going to take that index and we're going to move it down to 1 on the E, take middle, and we're going to move it up to 2 on the C, pluck the G and C together, and then 1 on the E, and then 2 on the C. In time, that's something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let's go and hear 21, 22, 23, 24. Should be like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And so that we can hear this entire section, starting on measure 17, going through 24, should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. From here, we go on to the final melody section. And what's really cool about this is it starts off the same stuff we already know. Measure 25, 26, 27, and 28, those 4 bars that we're going to work on next, are exactly identical in every single way to measures 7, 8, 9, and 10. They are exactly the same. Nothing is different. So if you worked on those measures, you already know how it should sound. So it sounds something like this, those 4 bars in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Pretty great, right? So if we already know this, we already know it. Going on to measures 29 and 30, well, 29 and 30 are actually exactly the same as 11 and 12, which is pretty great. So 29 and 30, again, exactly the same as 11 and 12, should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And now from here, we go on to measure 31 and 32. Now 31 is exactly the same as 15, if you remember that from the second ending. And 31 in time sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's exactly the same, but now on 32, it gets a little bit different. Measure 32, we're going to play through a C chord. So that's the same. Ring finger here on the 3rd fret of the A string. Pluck through all 4 strings together. And then we're going to pluck the C and the E and the G string. So 32 in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to 33 now, it's very different. Well, not very different, it's just different. We're going to play that sort of G7, and so what we're going to do is take our middle finger, place it on the 2nd fret of the C string, index here on the 1st fret of the E string, but we're not going to place that ring finger on. We're going to leave that off. Pluck our G, C, and E together, and then open on the A, open on the G, and open on the A. So it's sort of like the, but it's slower this time because it's just going, you'll go down in, and then his, door, right, or whatever it is. So we want that part a little slower. So 33 in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then I like to slow down here. You'll notice on the performance, I kind of, go with this much slower. The first chord of 34 is an upstrum on that G7, just like we did on the very beginning of the song on bar 6. Then the second half of this measure is my favorite G7 on ukulele. To play this, take your index, place it on the 5th fret of the C string, take your ring finger, place it on the 7th fret of the E string, and your middle finger here on the 5th fret of the A string. And you can strum through all 4 together. Alternatively, you can also bar it with your index finger and add the ring finger on 7. Both work equally well. So 34 in time, 2 and 3 and 4 and. You also notice I go to the thumb now with this, with the very outro part. And measure 35 to finish it, well, it's just a C chord. Doesn't get much easier than that. And we hold it for 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and for the full 4 beats. So let's go ahead and hear measures 32, 33, 34, and 35, since they're sort of the new parts, and then we'll listen to the whole final melody section. So 32, 33, 34, and 35 should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And let's go ahead and hear this whole last melody section starting at bar 25. Should be something like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And there you have it. That is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Again, I love this arrangement because of how many open strings it uses. Just to play the beginning part. Look at all those open strings. It's just too much fun. And to be honest, ukuleles sound the best when they're using open strings. It gives it the best sustain. So I hope you've enjoyed this. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I'll look forward to next time for the next tutorial here on Rock Class 101. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, so this week's ukulele lesson was a ton of fun. This is a Christmas classic. It's going to put a smile on everyone's face this holiday season, and it was super beginner friendly. And that's always fun to learn a little bit of an easier tune, or if you are at that beginner level, it's great to have more material that you can dive into. So I do want to give you a friendly reminder that if you wanted to get the tabs to print, keep for your records, that was available at this link, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com and do a search for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Now also on that page was the really cool interactive tab player, so you can literally hit play, you can watch that tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down, all that fun jazz. So guys, I hope you enjoyed learning this tune, and I want to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas.